Hello and welcome to Making Moves. Today we're deep diving into the realities of the UAE real estate market. From the highs and lows of being an agent, to property supply, market trends, and the undeniable success of networking here in the UAE. And today I'm joined by none other than Michael Magee, Private Client Manager at Quintessentially Estates, powered by EXP Realty. Welcome to the podcast.
Very well done, Tariq. You did that in one. Thank you, mate. Yeah. Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming. So, isn't it interesting how, our paths crossed initially? We were working for brokerages at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, I wasn't actually.
Were you not?
I wasn't working. I hadn't taken any. I wasn't working for anybody. It was the week before I joined.
I understand.
House and
okay,
house. Yeah.
At that point, yeah. Great.
Do you remember the month?
It was in November?
October.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Excellent.
2022.
And during that 2022, so it's been some years now. And during that time, obviously, we've always been in communication. We built a solid friendship.
We have.
We're now working independently and still, communicating with each other and offering many opportunities, which is just a testament as to how networking here in the UAE with like-minded individuals, people who are willing to work hard, is undeniably a success.
Yeah. It is kind of funny that we're sat here in a podcast studio, 2.5 years later, nearly, and we've maintained that friendship throughout, and have those regular catch-ups and coffees and chinwags with where I guess we'll just talk like we normally do today, only with microphones.
Exactly. This is more of a friendly chit chat, but sort of going on our experiences and what we're expecting, as we usually do when we catch up. So just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do for our viewers.
Okay, so Michael Magee, I'm Irish, and I have been in Dubai for a couple of years. I started my property career in 2003. I had a commercial finance brokerage and grew that quite successfully until the credit crunch, which overnight pretty much decimated my business, where I was brokering finance deals. I then saw an opportunity within that storm of the chaos of the credit crunch, and I set up I leveraged my network and my experience and decided to lend money to property developers because the finance funding just had dried up to developers. And for the next 5 or 6 years, I toured the country lending money to investors and developers and learning all about the other side of the business, which was lending, which was great. And then naturally, I think I moved into development. Maybe on reflection, it was a great time. It was a great experience, but ultimately, it nearly it put me in a very dark place for a long time, because although I had great success as a developer, it was very challenging. I lost a lot of money on a couple of big deals, and during COVID or coming up to COVID, I sort of took a break and had to reassess what I was going to do, which ultimately led me here.
Okay. Pretty tricky industry to be in with regards to lending, and you were doing large scale developments at the time, so the risk factor is quite high in that particular industry. But it's good to see that you're here, and I know full well that you are succeeding in what you're doing in real estate. You seem to have a great network of investors and clients that you've been working with, and obviously now you're tied in with Quintessentially Estates, which has no doubt brought you a lot more opportunity between the UAE, Abu Dhabi and Dubai.
Yeah, so Quintessentially Estates is part of the Quintessentially Group, which is a global concierge business, and an incredible business that has been on the go since 2009. They look after high net worths all over the world, and I run Quintessentially Estates in Dubai. We service the needs of our members for all things property. So I could be helping a member find a rental property for their daughter, or I could be sourcing an investment for them, or looking for a villa. And it's been great. It's been really, really interesting to work with a wide range of members and clients from all over the world, and opened up some incredible doors.
Great.
And then more recently, I have joined EXP, who I sit under I have my brokerage license under EXP. So Quintessentially Estates is like it opens up incredible networking opportunities, and EXP allows me to network and broker my deals.
Very good. On that subject of Quintessentially, it's, in my understanding, a sort of private members club / concierge service. So you undeniably have access to some high net worth individuals, I would say, which leads me on to my first question for this podcast. The luxury versus the affordable market. How do you see that has been going, let's say in the UAE rather than just Dubai? Is it a long-term plan, or do you think there might be a shift in the market?
I think that you see so many luxury projects launching, and Dubai is the center of the universe for branded residence and for luxury property. So they've definitely set their stall out as being the place to be for that type of property. And there's no doubt that, every podcast, every YouTuber, every influencer is talking about the high net worth migration to the UAE and the amount of millionaires leaving China, leaving India, leaving the UK, that are coming here, and developers are taking advantage of that by building luxury property. I think at the other end of the scale, at the other end of the market, where the affordable properties, I actually think there's a lot of very poor product on the market. Some of the villas some of the affordable villas that I've been in are just terribly designed and overpriced, in my opinion.
When we say affordable villas, in inverted
brackets,
commas,
yeah,
yes,
inverted
exactly.
commas.
No, I fully agree. I mean, we have a renovation division as part of Bayti, and the amount of snag reports that we do, it's really a bit of a shame to see some of the quality of work that people are expecting to hand over brand new properties, which still require a ton of work to get right, really.
Yeah.
When you're paying so much money for a property, you expect that, it's going to be handed to you in a good condition. But in some instances, unfortunately, we've got pages and pages of reports of things that need to be rectified before keys are accepted.
It's shocking. It's shocking. And I tell you what, it's shocking as well for UK middle, let's say, middle income earners, but probably high income earners, let's say, who come here with the intention of either renting for a year and then ultimately buying and seeing what's on the market. I think a lot of people are shocked by the quality of that sort of property value between, let's 800 to 2 million sterling. It leads a lot. There's a lot of very poor product in the market, I believe.
True. I mean, it's good to say that it doesn't happen too often. It's more so with the lower scale developers. I'm glad to say that the likes of the bigger players here in the UAE are definitely handing over some good quality property, and especially we've seen a lot of rain happening recently with the cloud seeding. Whether we can put the blame on that or not, we've seen a lot of improvements happening, and in particular, if you go to one of the developers, which I'm happy to mention is Shoba, they are probably one of the only developers who provide a quality showroom, as they call it. So this is where you get an opportunity to go into the showroom and you see the quality of work, how the methods of installment are done,
Yes.
Waterproofing, bathroom fittings, service ducts and things like that. And it really reflects into British standards, how I know it back in the UK when I had my construction company there. I can see that they're following the same principles that we follow in the UK, which, is good standards.
Yeah, it's super impressive. Shoba, I'm a big fan of Shoba. They've proven themselves to be a top quality developer, and I think that proves that they are one of the sort of, I think they're third now, are they, in terms of sales in the market? But
They're all thereabouts, yeah.
And overall a great company to work with, not for.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. So. Still sort of working on branded residences there and the luxury market. We see the likes of Damac Cavalli, Bengati Bugatti, Pagani buildings and all sorts of stuff. But when we shift our focus over to new property in Abu Dhabi, the bigger players there are Modon and Aldar. And we look at Sadia Island, for example, which is a art and cultural sort of island that they've built. There's some really fantastic property there and developments and projects that are upcoming, but it is predominantly Aldar that is running that island and developing on. Do you see a lot of interest recently where people are now looking at Abu Dhabi, where Dubai had the limelight for quite a while?
I think Abu Dhabi is quietly becoming the place to be for ultra high net worths. I think they've done some incredible projects, and it's going to surprise a lot of people how many high net worths you'll see starting to invest there.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. It's definitely a powerhouse that's coming up quietly in the background, and I reckon 5 to 6 years it's going to be a big contender for Dubai. It's still a very small city in comparison to Dubai in terms of development and population, of course. But with the plans that they've got going forward, it's definitely going to be a big contender. So I'm excited to see what happens there. But now moving on to affordable housing here in Dubai in particular, I believe it can be considered a little bit of an issue because prices have just dramatically increased in a number of communities, not only for sale, but for rent as well. Obviously, we've then seen a shift of people having to make a plan B. They can't continue to keep increasing their rental pay per annum, so they've been looking at mortgage opportunities. Now we've had that recent news of the mortgages where they're not allowing any percentage of funding towards the DLD fees, which is the Dubai Land Department fees, and the agency commission. So now obviously people are going to have to sort of purchase within their affordability, which means a slightly less purchasing power, basically.
I don't see it as a bad thing. I think that the DLD have considered the fact that the market has grown a lot over the last couple of years, and they're probably doing this to keep things at the right pace. The fact that you can't put your DLD fee and brokerage fees on top of the mortgage. I think people will just have to. I think either owners will have to compensate for the price that they're willing to accept for their properties, and people are just going to have to dig deeper into their pockets. Yeah, I mean, what would you call affordable in Dubai? What's that bracket?
Wow, that's a very good question. It's all relative based on where you're coming from, I guess. But if you've been a long-term resident here, I would say affordable is going to be in and around the 1 to 2 million mark. It really depends on your status.
1 to 2 million.
1 to 2 million dirhams.
Dirhams.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that really depends on how big your family is. Are you relying on a partner to get invested with you? That, in my opinion, is affordable. Now, when we talk about affordable for people moving here from the bigger cities like New York, London, Hong Kong, Singapore, we're still fairly good in terms of affordable housing, as I would say. But in my opinion, that would be around the 2 to 3 million mark.
Really?
I think anywhere above 3 million dirhams is not an affordable price range. You're talking near enough £1 million in the UK when we're starting to creep up to 4.5 million dirhams, for example.
Yeah,
which
is
a lot of people
insane
in the UK
when you
own
think about
£1 million house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the people that are moving to Dubai are more likely to have that sort of budget, though.
This is why affordable housing is becoming a problem now,
Yeah.
because we've got too many high net worth individuals coming here. The focus is on them, which I can understand because it's good to have those sorts of players here to invest into the economy, set up businesses, have a way of life here. Obviously, everything's attractive to promote that and bring them out here to live. But now, my opinion is we need to start looking at affordable housing. And I have no doubt Dubai will look into that. I mean, they're obviously looking into it now. But Dubai is very reactive to any sort of bad press. You look at what happened with the rain issue that we had recently. Now, the Sheikh of Dubai, Sheikh Maktoum, has agreed to invest $80 billion into improving drainage, sewerage systems, rainwater control, which is fantastic. I mean, think of any other country that's so quick to put that into place, right?
Yeah, it was announced weeks after it happened, right?
Yeah.
It just goes to show, though, how having a decisive leader like that can make such a difference to reactionary issues that occur. But just going back to the affordable thing, and you say between 2 to 3 million, what would you say is your favorite community within that, let's say 2 to 4 million bracket for affordable for people coming here?
That's a very good question. I mean, this is personal taste now, considering I come from a construction background.
I think we're going to say. I think we're going to say the same one, aren't we?
From a construction background and a development background, I'd rather buy a plot and build my own thing.
Okay, no, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
Okay.
Community. What's established community? Yeah.
Alpha Jan.
Alpha Jan.
Alpha Jan, I think, is very up and coming.
Is that because you guys are very prominent in Alpha Jan, or is that because...
Maybe I'm a little biased towards it, but to be perfectly honest, when you compare Alpha Jan to many of the close vicinity areas, Meadows, Springs, Jumeirah Park, for example, it is a fraction of the cost. You're getting a bit more size, you're getting a bit more villa, basically. It's a nearly fully developed community. It's a great location. Yeah, I think in terms of affordability, that would be the place to be. I can't think of anywhere else unless you go much further out from the coast that would fall within that range. Again, it really depends on what you're buying. You're buying an apartment, you're buying a villa. Do you need a 3-bed villa, a 4-bed villa? Those are the questions.
Okay.
That's my choice. What's your choice?
I'm surprised okay, my choice is sustainable city.
Okay.
100% sustainable city. I think it's just an incredible community. It's car free. It's got a real friendly atmosphere, a real friendly buzz about it. And I like the way the houses have been designed, the villas have been designed. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but everyone that I know who lives there absolutely loves it. And I think it's fair to say that anybody that leaves it doesn't leave it to go to another community. They leave it because maybe they're leaving the country or their job moves or whatever, and they have to leave. So yeah, it's sustainable for me. It ticks all the boxes.
It is a beautiful community. Without promoting it too much, it offers quite a lot of things. It's obviously a small community.
No, I want to promote it. Yeah,
you want to promote it?
I've got something to sell.
Oh right, okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, I agree. A lot on offer there. You know, it's very family friendly, which ticks the boxes for me. Prices a little bit out of the affordable range, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right there. Yeah, it's jumped a bit.
Yeah, no, I can see the attraction. So the evolution of Dubai real estate over the last 5 to 10 years, what have you seen has changed, and where do you see it going with regards to changes in terms of communities, sustainability?
Sure.
What is it that people are looking for now?
Well, sustainability, definitely. I mean, we touched on that with Sustainable City, and it definitely is something that a lot more developers are really focusing on, and health and lifestyle and air quality. You know, it is something that worries me here is the air quality. It's not. Sometimes you kind of feel it's not the best. It's very dusty. So. A lot of developers are focusing on that, and a lot more green space with Sheikh Mohammed's Vision 2040, where there's so much more green space planned and so much more beach space. I think we're going to see a shift towards a much more sustainable and greener Dubai, which for people who don't live here might find that kind of, I don't know,
they're accustomed to it back in their home country.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one thing I do miss about not being in the UK, and that is the nature there's not as much nature here and not as much greenery. But if you look for it, you can find it, and I think that's one of the things that we're going to see a lot more of over the next 5 to 10 years.
Definitely, we've seen the success of what happened with Aldaz Haven, which for those who don't know is. I would say a wellness community, you know, barefoot walking tracks, yoga spots, wellness spas, all those kinds of things. That was a huge success from the get-go. And to be honest, it was a USP. There was nothing else like that in Dubai at the time. So hence the success of it selling out pretty quick.
Similarly with Gaff Woods and Talala Gaff's new project, where it's covered by a lot of tree density and effectively a slightly cooler environment because of the shelter. So all of these things, as other developers see the success of these projects, and competition is fierce in Dubai for properties where developers are competing against each other. These things will naturally improve the overall communities because it's what people want, and it's just one of those things that the market naturally moves towards, is improving the quality of the residents' lives.
Yeah, no, I agree. So we're talking sustainability, greenery, wellness, and waterfront living.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with waterfront living, right?
No, exactly. And we're running out of waterfront, so we need to create some more.
Yeah. Favorite waterfront community?
We're talking natural waterfront. I would say Palm Jumeirah is a top
your
one
favorite,
for me.
Yeah.
I like Jumeirah itself as well, but being a leasehold area and GCC only, it's very difficult to be able to buy something there.
So that's another interesting point. So the freehold and leasehold changes that are happening on Sheikh Zayed Road, right?
Yep.
So there's those initiatives by the government where you can buy, where there's now, instead of leasehold, you can buy freehold. That's going to be interesting to see how it pans out.
Definitely a hot topic with it being, prime location. So a lot of people owning the few apartments that are along there, but mostly I would say with the commercial side of things.
Right.
Obviously, you've got quite a lot of commercial buildings there, offices, hotels, whatnot. But yes, the shift from leasehold into freehold is definitely a positive factor for many of the original investors who no doubt will see an increment in their property value, given that it's now a freehold option, and they'll probably be hitting that into the market. I'd hope it wouldn't be an oversupply because people have now seen a massive difference in their property prices. But again, this is still an unanswered topic for me in terms of how much is it going to cost to buy your leasehold out and switch over to a freehold. It could be an unfair price. So are we going to see many people doing that is the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated in the UK, right? And but as always, there is the market will figure it out, and there'll be opportunities within that area to benefit, I guess.
For sure. Let's go into AI now, artificial intelligence and property. Do you see it being a risk for real estate agents?
For real estate agents, well, it depends what you call a risk. It's definitely a threat, but it's also if you use it and understand it and don't ignore it, I think it's a massive opportunity. Any real estate agent not using AI at the moment is already at a massive disadvantage, and there's just so much. There's so many uses that you can apply it to. So, is it a threat? Long term, yeah, for sure. I think we're going to see a lot of things that we just can't even comprehend coming to the market that AI is going to deliver. But the angle will always be about personal relationships and the human touch. You just have to use AI to your advantage until the robots take over.
With the advancements that have happened in AI, how quickly things have moved, and the services that it offers, both in prop tech, finding properties, understanding the market much quicker than how we used to do it. Obviously, you can use it to your advantage as an agent, but who knows, a few years down the line as to whether it simplifies the process so much for those buyers and tenants that it will eventually cut out a lot of the agency work. But like you said just there, it is about relationships and that personal touch. So I still feel, as you said, you would have to have a bit more involvement with your clients, and you'll only be able to do that if you're one of the ones left over from those that have been culled out by AI taking over. So yeah,
I think a lot of agents, well, I'm not here to bash agents, but we know there's a lot of very unskilled and untrained agents, right? The ironic part of it is that those agents probably could skill themselves up very easily with using AI, and but will they or not? I don't know. I think that AI it's such an incredible tool, but equally, investors will look at the market and will use AI to either confirm what an agent is telling them, and back up information that an agent is giving them. It's all about data, and it's all about, at the end of the day, property and property investment is about making sure the numbers stack up and work. And if you use AI to its full advantage, then as an agent, it's massively beneficial. I think. It's
very
something.
helpful tool.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
I use it every day.
I use it every day too.
Yeah.
In particular, this shifts on to our next question, is a great tool for finding off-plan investments very quickly. We saw a lot happening in 2024. It was a huge year for off-plan. In fact, it dominated the real estate market. Do you feel it's a boom? What are the risks? What do you think is going to happen in 2025?
Well, it's definitely a boom. No question of that. Is it a bubble? I think that there are off-plan projects that with off-plan. A lot of investors come to the UAE, and in my experience, a lot of British investors come to the UAE and expect just to put money into the market and make money. And it doesn't work like that. It's the fact is that it's not a guaranteed win to invest in the UAE. You have to be strategic, you have to be sensible, you have to follow the money, you have to follow the government money, you have to look at where investment's going, look at infrastructure projects that are happening, and you have to be smart about where you put your money.
It's part and parcel of working with a very good and well-informed agent.
Exactly. So the fact is that I think it comes back down to how much of a shit show it is in the UK, because it's so difficult to make money in the UK at the moment. It's so difficult to invest and see a return on your money that a lot of investors get sold on the idea of investing in off-plan, and actually, because it solves a problem for them, and that problem is their pension, their retirement, and so having a slick salesman or a bad agent sell them a dream, it plays into their fears and insecurities about what's happening in the UK. So it's definitely not a guarantee. But if you are going back to your original question, which is it a boom and is it a bust? I think that there will be some winners and losers in the off-plan game over the next couple of years. But I think long term, this country has so many strategic plans going forward. It's got so much going for it. It's in such a strong position from an economic point of view, and from the leadership, that if you are investing in good, solid off-plan projects and taking a long-term view and waiting for the keys and waiting then to see growth over the next 5 to 7 years, then I think I think you'll do well.
Absolutely.
It's people who are coming into the market and expecting a quick return or a quick flip. Those people are going to get stung.
It's really not as easy as that. I mean, we've seen, without naming the projects, we've seen projects where...
let's name the projects.
Okay, wow. Okay, bit of a different podcast, this one. No problem. Let's run with it. So, Tilal Al Ghaf.
Right.
Fantastic success. People have made double their money, maybe even triple, depending on how early they bought into. So that's a prime example of how people have bought off-plan and succeeded within 2 to 3 years.
They also... The other interesting thing was when Tilal was launched. It was launched during COVID, and they offered post-handover payment plans on some incredible deals that I don't think the same developer would even consider now. But I mean, it rewarded those people that invested regardless of what was happening globally, because a lot of people, didn't want to invest in those days. They were worried, but it proved to be a really good choice.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side of the coin, there are projects where people, I wouldn't say have lost dramatic amounts of money, but haven't made the money that they were quite expecting. In my opinion, this is going much more within the master developed communities where people are buying into towers, for example. But it's not just one tower in that community. There's maybe 6, 8, 9, 10 towers. Now, when all those towers are sort of launched in and around the same year, meaning that they're all going to complete at the same time, it could be 2 to 3 years down the line from now where we've got an influx of apartments. And it's not just one developer who's doing this. There's a number of apartments being built. Obviously, apartments being more within the affordable range. You've got a lot of people buying into studios, 1 beds, 2 beds, because they tend to be 2 million dirhams or less, depending on where the project is. They could be starting for as little as 600,000 dirhams, for example. But my worry here is that with apartments in particular, when this is all ready to finalize in 2 to 3 years and we see a huge supply of apartments on the market, both for rent and for sale, that's what's really going to start driving prices back down. People are going to have to demand more of an affordable price for those properties and not quite what they were potentially promised from whatever agent that they were working with at the time. I believe townhouses and villas have a better chance, of course, because they are few and far between and they're highly in demand at the moment. What are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, you just have to look at JVC and see the sheer scale of construction going on in JVC and think to yourself, well, what is what's the market going to look like in 2 or 3 years' time?
I mean, it's hard work getting in and out of now. Imagine when everything's built.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a great community. It's still got an awful lot going for it, but it is, and it's location-wise, it's great. But there's a lot of construction going on there. I think that, but the interesting, I was having a conversation with a client recently, and she'd lived in JVC for 3 years, absolutely loved it, and lived in a studio for 3 years, and has paid her rent on time every month for consistently for 3 years. And so in her mind, buying a studio in JVC was a good idea because she's had a great experience and she's made that landlord a lot of money. But I question whether or not buying a studio in JVC would be a good investment for the next 3 years. Just because the last 3 years was good doesn't mean it's going to be a good investment for the next 3 years. Sure. So, and then you have to ask, well, should everybody invest in property? If you've only got a certain amount of money, should you invest in property? And that's a question that I'm not sure I know the answer to, because I do believe long-term property is one of the best choices you can make with regards to your long-term wealth.
It's always been a solid investment across the world.
Right, absolutely.
Within reason of conflicts and stuff like that, of course.
Yeah, but we know that there are cycles. We know that property goes up and down, but we also know that as long as you can rent it out or live in it, right, then you've got an asset that is valuable, whether it's for you to live in or whether it's for you to rent out. I think that the fact is that you just have to be very cautious about where you put your money and look at the future demand for the units that you're buying. And that comes back down to the community, all of the things that we talked about in terms of the waterfront demand, the infrastructure projects that are going on around it. So I think some buyers are using off-plan as a way to compensate for their lack of pension or their lack of investments in the UK. Yeah. And I think they just have to be cautious about what they invest in long term. I think it comes down to the one thing that amazes me about the market here is the short-term view so many investors have on Dubai. If you take the long-term view of Dubai, it's a no-brainer.
Of course.
It's an absolute no-brainer. It's one of the most solid investments that you can take.
You do not see any of this going on anywhere else in the world. The metro lines that are improving over the next few years to make interconnectivity much simpler, much easier for commuting and traveling. The sewerage plans, for example. There's lots going on, and you will not see that anywhere else in the world.
And just how easy it is to do business here, right? How easy it is to set business up, how easy it is, the fact we're tax-free, all of these things, it just makes Dubai such an attractive place to live and work. So yeah, it's long-term for me, it's a no-brainer. But the problem I have is with investors who come in and have this short-term approach to it, and people who will say, well, can I flip this in 6 to 12 months? And if you're an overseas investor, thinking about flipping, then I think you're either being sold a pipe dream or you're getting bad advice. Yes, there's opportunity to flip, but you have to be on the ground and you have to be looking for that discounted property, or indeed opportunity to add value through refurbishment or through development or extensions, those sort of things. That's where you can flip. You can't just buy a property, hold it, and then flip it in 6 months or 12 months. I think that's
we'll get on to the subject of flipping shortly, but you've made a very good point there in terms of working with the right person to make sure that you buy the right property. Now, we've talked about the pros and cons, about different projects, different areas and things like that very briefly. Now, I know you're a straight to the point kind of guy, which is something very valuable that investors, buyers of property here in the UAE really need to explore, rather than just going to the one person who's selling them the pipe dream of buy this property in this project, you're going to make X amount of money. You and I know how we work. When we speak to our investors, we're telling them and giving them our best advice. I don't think you should invest in this area. I don't think you should buy this type of property. And we'll give our reasons why, and we'll give them alternatives. But sometimes you have the odd investor who's done what they consider their homework and want to buy into that property. So, I mean, there's only so much we can do at the end of the day as agents. If someone falls in love with something and they want to go for it, it's our job to sort of cater to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think my job is to give people solid, straight advice on what I believe is a good investment. But that might not necessarily apply to their situation. So, if they decide to go against that, then that's no problem. I often advise clients that if you can't afford to buy a townhouse and you want to buy a 1-bed or a studio, you have to understand that it's a long-term hold, right? And don't think that you're going to flip it on handover for a significant return. But townhouses and villas, if you've got the cash, if you've got the budget, they're my go-to for let's say short to medium term investments.
So you mentioned flipping there. What are your thoughts on how the flipping market has, not the flipping market, but the market of flipping property?
Yeah.
I've seen a bit of an increase in that, particularly with buying secondary properties in well-established communities, run down, need a bit of work, probably about 15, 16 years old, there or thereabouts. Chuck a couple of million dirhams into it and have a nice swanky villa at the end. Do you see a lot of that happening? And obviously with the flipping of off-plan as well, it seems to be that people are looking to recycle their cash very, very quickly.
I certainly see a reasonable amount of old villas being turned into, or Europeanized, if you like, or modernized. That is, that's a huge opportunity here. The flipping of off-plan projects is not. It's something that you can certainly still win at, but in my opinion, you need to be buying floors, or you need to be buying really unique projects that will sell out, and there'll be demand in the next 12 to 14 months.
Yeah. Because you can buy a floor and potentially get a 10, 15, 20% discount from the developer.
Sure. And
then sell those units individually then and make your markup.
Yeah. And a lot of guys are doing that. Yeah. And I'm seeing that. I've got clients that are doing that at the moment. So, but yeah, adding value is where I come from. That's my background. That's what I've done in the UK. I've bought and refurbished and resold or refinanced, and then just put it in the short-term market. That's what I understand, and that's where I feel most confident in advising investors to do.
Okay, bit of homes under the hammer.
Well, yeah.
How important is social media for an agent out here in the UAE?
Well, I mean, it depends how it's done. So many agents and brokers in the market that are just copying everyone doing the same thing. And I'll hold my hands up. I've probably done...
It's like a TikTok trend.
Yeah, I've done some of those things as well. Yeah. But here's the thing. When you do those things, there is like a formula that you can follow, and it's nearly guaranteed that it'll go viral, right? It doesn't actually result in business. it might result in more exposure and more followers, and so maybe it does result in business further down the line. But I think that social media is a great way of presenting your personality across and getting your expertise, showcasing your expertise. But should agents spend 3 or 4 days doing social media every week? No, I don't think they should. But I do think it does play a significant role. I mean, it's a very powerful tool if used right.
Yeah.
But you have to have a strategy, and you have to be consistent, and you have to deliver value.
And that takes a lot of time. You really need to have a team behind you to help create the content, schedule your time to go and do the viewings, or sort of filming and whatever. But really, as you said, it really depends on how you use it.
You don't need a team behind you as such. You do need 1 or 2 people or you need at least one person who can edit videos for you. And I do find having someone to bounce ideas off really, really useful. But I use a tripod a lot of times and just, deliver to the camera on my own and then send it off to my guy and he'll edit it.
Like you said, it is about showing off your reputation and your persona, because I would feel that most investors tend to build a relationship with the person for who they are rather than what they're offering.
I have definitely got business from social media, and it's come from just people messaging me through Instagram and asking for help, or just and giving them advice and not expecting anything in return. And then 2-3 months later, they reach out again, and next thing you know, you're chatting to them over the phone. So I think it comes down to adding value and not being a pushy salesman. But I'm no social media expert, so that's just my experience.
So, Michael, some very valuable comments you've mentioned there. What I'd like to know now is, what are your plans for this next year in terms of Quintessentially, EXP, and your developments and the direction that you're heading towards?
I'm excited about this year. I think there is, it's going to be a really, really, really interesting year. I'm growing a team at EXP, and I'm looking for great agents to join. I am running roadshows out to the US and the UK, where I'm going out to meet clients directly, face to face. I think there's a lot of value in that. And I'm growing the Quintessentially brand, I guess, and really pushing that. We've got some very exciting things in the pipeline that I can't really go into at the moment. You know about them, but they should be very, very interesting. And so for me, it's about growing my team at EXP and running roadshows to the US and the UK. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, what about you? What's your plans?
Well, it's exciting to see, what you've come from, where you're going to, and what your plans are. Like, you are a man of shifting your perspective quite a lot, and it's good to see your success, honestly.
For an old boy, yeah.
For
Is that what you meant?
Boy. No, not at all. You can't teach an old dog new tricks,
no.
Right? But you're doing very well.
Yeah, you have to. I think you have to be adaptive. You have to be flexible. But yeah, it's a great market to be in. I absolutely love. I think after what I came through during my development days in London and the challenges and the long nights and dark places I was in, coming to Dubai has given me a complete sort of new direction, new lease of life, and yeah, it's been transformative.
That's transformative.
Transformative.
Yep, that's good.
We'll cut that bit out, or not.
Nope. So you asked me what my plans are. Well, at Bayti, we're coming up to our 2nd year in business now, and very happy with how the team have gone. And although it was a bit of a slow process in the beginning, we've actually caught up quite well over the last few months. This year, it's been my plan, which I've discussed with the team there, that if you see me in the office, I'm not working hard enough. So my plan for this year is a lot of networking, a lot of opportunity gathering, because for me at Bayti, it's not about having numbers in the office. It's about making sure those people who are working with us are succeeding. Mm-hmm. So in terms of what I'm doing in terms of opportunities and networking is for me to try and give more opportunities to the team. I want them all to succeed. They're great people. It's kind of like a family environment. We're not snaky. We're not, trying to sneak each other's deals out from each other.
Yeah.
So I really want to develop that, and I have every faith that we're going to see some big numbers this year. I mean, we've had talks in and amongst the team about plans and directions that we want to go, which I won't mention on camera just yet because. The all-seeing eye and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be an exciting year. I feel that it's going to be a very busy year in the real estate market.
Started busy.
And for Bayti. Exactly, yeah. I mean, the opportunities just come out of nowhere. So while we talk on that subject of networking, you meet some amazing people out here. Dubai and Abu Dhabi are considered one of the safest cities in the world. So you've got people walking around out and about, not a care in the world, and you could have a little exchange in an elevator, just being nice to someone. Hi, how are you? Good morning.
Like how we met.
Well, kind of, exactly, yeah. And it just leads on to let's catch up for coffee, learn about each other, and that person will know someone else who's then going to give you an opportunity. I honestly feel that this place here, if you're nice to people and you work hard and you know what you're talking about, you come across professional, you're efficient, you're punctual, you will succeed very well.
Absolutely. I think if you're genuine and honest, and don't seek anything in return, and just try and help people, that is such a superpower to have in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. I think that everyone I talk to, and especially everyone that comes from the UK, whether it's on holidays or whether they're scoping out the place to move here, and I get phone calls nearly every week from connections and business colleagues or people in the UK who either see me on social media or LinkedIn or know me, and they want to figure out a way to move here.
So there you go. Social media is a powerful tool.
Absolutely, it definitely is, and especially LinkedIn. It's one of those sort of maybe overlooked platforms, but the amount of people that are looking at Dubai and looking at the UAE as a destination to get themselves here, and we're not just talking about multimillionaires, we're talking about regular people. It's a very exciting place to be, and everyone says the same thing. Everyone loves the freedom, the flexibility, and the safety, should I say, and just the attitude.
I speak to some people and they feel that they come here to live the get-rich-quick scheme. I mean, it works for some, it doesn't work for everyone. But those who I know who have been here for a number of years, they may want to go back to their home country or another country. But I generally find 60-70% of those people always get drawn back here. Yeah. There's something about being here in the UAE that is just such an easier way of life. And, safety is a number one thing.
Look, I love I love home. Ireland is home for me, and it's where my heart will always be. And I can see myself spending time between here and Ireland over the next 10, 15 years, 20 years, God willing. But once you get settled into the UAE, once you sort of work out how things work here, it's very difficult to think about going back or leaving or never coming back. It's such an incredible place.
For me, it's just positive vibes all the way here in the UAE. Whenever I go back to the UK, I don't know if it's the weather. I feel that some of the people tend to focus on negativity or the issues going on in the country.
Well, there are a lot of issues. That's the problem. There's genuine social problems that look. It's unfortunate that our country, it feels like it's been ruined. It's unfortunate that we have a government that are inept and are wasting
False
billions
promises,
of all of those things. I mean, it's probably not the time to get into it. But the point is that people are fed up with that, and the fact that you can come to a place like this and you can change your life very easily, or should I say, you could change your life just by working hard and putting genuine effort into building wealth. It's an incredible place to be. So for me, I love the UAE. I love the fact that it's so business friendly and safe, and
Michael, it's been great to have you on the podcast. I'm
Thanks,
really looking forward to
Tariq.
seeing how your 2025 pans
Likewise.
out. It's going to be successful, no doubt.
Looking forward to our coffees.
Yeah, we're going to have so much more opportunities coming on. May very well have you on another podcast soon again, but this is your first one, so well done.
Thank you, brother.
Got the itch out the way. And to our viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.